Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of First Peter, chapter 2, verses 15 through 16. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. As free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servant of God. And I'm going to repeat that. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. As free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servant of God. We're to be humble. Lower ourselves, for it is God's will that we serve Him and serve others. We tend to make everything about us. When we read the book, we put ourselves, that's just like me. I'm going through what Job went through, or I'm going what Joseph went through with my family being jealous and all this and that. But the only thing that this book is about is for you to change the things that is of your flesh and of this world up out of you, so you can be Christ-like, and to know and understand that this is God's love letter to you, showing you, explaining to you, and teaching you the way to love as He loves, and that He loves you. Other than that, it is about God and who He is. This is His testimony. This is His story, our history. It is written so that we can clearly understand who God is, and so that we can understand who we are through Him. The ignorance of foolish men. The Pharisees were very foolish. They was very bright, well educated. In fact, back in those times, it was generally only those people, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, were the only ones, that would be educated. Now, I'm not speaking of the Romans and all their false gods and their theologies. But these people were highly educated. They could quote it word for word. It's pride. You do not have to have this word memorized word for word, but you do need to memorize what it says in general, what it's telling you all together. It's more important to obey the word and have it memorized. Jesus was making that very clear when He was speaking to the Pharisees. They was blind leading blind. Because though they knew the word for word, they didn't obey the word. In fact, they twisted the word to place themselves above people. They had pride in placing themselves as holy men and having high seats and high places. They looked down upon the rest of their own people. But these words are telling you to be humble, to be a servant, to not place yourself above somebody, but to serve others, to silence the foolish man. Jesus, when He was talking with people, he didn't argue with them. He simply said what he needed to say, because the truth speaks for itself. And if you're speaking the truth, and if you're out there and you're saying something and somebody wants to come against you with what you are saying, and they also want to throw scripture right back at you, you just need to remember that the truth speaks for itself, that you don't have to keep arguing. It's more wiser to be silent. Jesus did not argue. He simply said what he said, and he just disappeared. Because see, the truth will speak. The truth will stand up for itself. And if you're speaking truth, you don't need to do nothing but just speak the truth. Be silent and then walk away. We have free will. God is such a loving God that he doesn't put us on a string and make us do what he wants to do. He doesn't do Jedi mind tricks and control our minds and make us do this and make us do that. We have freedom, the ability to choose each and every day that we wake up who we choose to serve and how we choose to live. It is our choice, and every day it can change. That's why every day is a new day. God knows it's a new day, new chance for new beginnings. To undo what you did the day before. To walk right, to get right. But when we are out there among people who is doing evil with their free will, we need to pray for them. We don't need to let the actions of others get us caught and stoop to their level and be in sin right along with them. In fact, the enemy uses other people, whether they're strangers, family, friends, or loved ones, to get you to be in anger, to get you to be in hatred. Because people do evil things. So that's why we need to pray. We need to give it to God. We are not God. It is not our job to correct them. It is not our job to punish them. It is not our job to seek vengeance on them. It is not our job to make them pay for what they have done. The best thing we can do is pray. Pray for them and give it to God and forgive. Push your feelings aside. One of the toughest things about being a Christ follower is learning to set your feelings aside and use your intelligence, God's wisdom and his word, to overlook your feelings so that you can make smart choices. See, when we start following our heart, when we start following our emotions, and we put in our emotions into actions, is when things happen that we cannot take back. Things are said that we cannot unsay. So you got to be very careful. That's why we got to be above our emotions. And the best way to do that is to constantly be in prayer, to be in communication, and to be in the Word. Because it's hard not to get caught up on our emotions. And it's the very thing that the enemy tries to keep us in. So we've got to be careful. Humble ourselves. Use the word for wisdom. use silence as spoken words.